Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Riverside Theatre's Backstage Chat. It's a brilliant day in the neighborhood, not only because I get to talk about this new play, Every Brilliant Thing, but I get to talk to the entire cast of the show. With me, Jimmy Ray Bennett. Hello, Jimmy Ray.
Hey, Oscar. Thank you for speaking with me.
So excited that you're here. I'm thrilled that you're here. When Alan Cornell, who is the artistic director for Riverside Theatre, for those unfamiliar, he's also the director of this show. And when he told me that he was going to offer you the role, I was so happy. But coming into the lobby and seeing you standing there was just pure joy. Pure joy.
Same.
Because you are such, not only an incredibly talented performer, but you are such a wonderful human being.
Oh,
love you tremendously.
Thank you.
So if brilliant is the word of the day.
Absolutely, brilliant.
Of the day, not only because we're talking about the show, but we're going to talk about you as well. Anyway, Every Brilliant Thing, which is part of our Bobby Olson series on the Waxlax stage, is playing here at Riverside from March 25th through April 13th. Is part of our 2024-2025 season. And it's relatively a new play. I mean, it debuted at the Fringe Festival in 2014, and it did very, very well there. And the team was asked to go to New York to perform it there for 5 weeks, and it ran for 4 months worth of sold-out performances. Many people will not know what this play is. Can you give us a little synopsis of what it's about?
Yeah, I'll give. Well, first off, so great to see you, and thank you for saying that I'm a good person, because I think that that's more important than anything when it comes to like doing theater or anything like that. So thank you. This play is, what's really special about it is it kind of chronicles a 7-year-old boy's need to make his mother feel better about the world. She's having suicidal ideologies, and as a 7-year-old, all you can think of is to create a list of everything brilliant in the world. And what's great about this show in particular is that it deals with a lot of complicated, serious topics, but it's ultimately a celebration of all of the smaller things in life, a celebration and a reminder that we can get bogged down in the macro and forget about the micro. I don't think I've ever used macro and micro in a sentence, but here we are. And what's great that they did in developing it before they also got to New York was really figuring out how to utilize the audience in the storytelling. And so what's special about this production and this particular play is that it's not like any play I've ever been part of or I've seen. And it's more of a conversation than a presentation between me and the audience. And there's a lot of audience participation, which also scares people. But the great thing about the audience participation in this show in particular is that there are different levels of it. Of course, there's a list of everything brilliant in the world, and all of these have numbers on them. And so some people in the audience just have to, if I call out a number, if I say 123,321, then someone in the audience will have a piece of paper that says palindromes, and they'll just say that out loud.
That's wonderful.
So that's pretty minimal when it comes to
I know number
participation.
One.
What's number one?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. So so that's an easy thing. So it kind of eases in the audience participation aspect of the show. And then there are about 5 people who will participate within the show a little bit larger. So, and the interesting thing about this is that I will be meeting people when they come into the theater and trying to really figure out who doesn't want to even read or who is game. And so
you're the host of this endeavor, and you're trying to figure out, like you mentioned, who wants to participate more than those who don't want to.
Those who don't want to, yeah.
So having you greeting someone at the door at the entrance probably alleviates a lot of the stresses of people in coming to see the show, because, like you mentioned, it is a heavy subject matter.
Yeah.
But there's so much comedy, and there's just so much celebration of life.
Absolutely.
That we take for granted, that this story is really illuminating to us.
Well, the show is funny. I mean, I'm so funny. No, I'm kidding. But
You are.
Yeah,
You are.
it's a fun show. It's a funny show, and it really highlights that idea that we can talk about serious things and come out of it better and sort of things off of our back. I mean, that was a great sentence. But that idea that, like, that when we talk about heavy things, I mean, it's interesting that we have an obsession with true crime and we love to watch SVU and all of these things, but then we can't actually talk about what's really happening in our own lives. And that interesting dichotomy in our life is that we can have pain and extreme joy all at the same time. And that's really kind of where we all operate. We operate in the middle of all of these things. And what's great about this script and this little boy's desire to cheer up his mother is that he concentrates on those things. And so I think you leave this play lighter, and you start thinking about the things in your life that actually resonate with you. Whether it's a television show, whether it's a color, whether it's a particular tree or a particular window that you look out in your house.
Hopefully you'll appreciate them a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And gather the joy that this little boy is trying to give to his mother. Gather the joy for yourself.
Absolutely.
Realizing that you're also in a community sharing something, and we're here to help each other, to lift up each other.
Well, that's key. I mean, the idea of community, the idea of conversation and curiosity within a group. And the interesting thing about this piece too is that we're in the round, and there's not a lot of lights, and it allows you to feel like you're part of a group as opposed to feel like you're a spectator. You're part of the storytelling. You see each other. You're reminded the entire show that you're part of a community as opposed to a spectator seeing something. And I think that's kind of the most powerful thing about it. And it's not light subject matter, but it's human subject matter. It's things that we all deal with, even if you haven't had someone who has had suicidal ideologies or chose that path for themselves. We've all had moments of sadness, depression, despair. Life is not easy, Oscar.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But the interesting thing is that we can make it easier. We can allow ourselves to experience life in all that it gives us.
Absolutely.
And you can't experience the highs unless you experience the lows. And sometimes, once again, you experience both of those things at the same time, or at least on the same day. You know what I mean?
Correct. Now, the play in actuality started as a 15-minute monologue.
Yeah.
Duncan Macmillan wrote this for a friend of his, and she performed it in the UK, and it was very successful. And he expanded it into a full-length play. It's about 75, 90 minutes, no intermission.
Yeah, no intermission.
But it's interesting how this little monologue developed into a full night, full evening worth of sharing. It's a roller coaster ride. You're sharing your highs and lows of life, which we all can understand. And yet it is so meaningful. It touches. I read the script, and at the end, I was in tears, not because it was sad, but because it was done so beautifully.
Yeah.
It was written so beautifully. And I cannot imagine, for you as a performer, with each performance having different people and different acceptance of their roles, in essence, in it, how you are planning to work it. I mean, you have words from the script, but a lot of it is improvisational.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm going to work it. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, that's the interesting thing about a project like this in a process, because you have your text, you have what you're saying in the piece, then you come out of that text to speak with people, and then you have to get back into that text. So it is interesting to kind of balance that. And then also you're going through an emotional roller coaster as an actor. When you're doing a one-man show, it's interesting. I did another one-man show here.
You did. 2009.
Was it 2009?
2009. Fully committed.
What a good year.
Yes.
Fully committed. And that was different. That was like me playing 42 different characters. It was very high energy. And this one's
And you got to play
different.
not only characters, but different voices and different dialects.
So much fun. I mean, every kind of dialect, every kind of accent, every, gender, all of it. I did all of it. This one is a little different. And it's interesting, as like a solo performer, the parts of you that are outside of yourself, there's like, you operate on like 3 levels. You have the telling the story, the person who's present. You have the person out here that is navigating you, that's looking at what you're doing and making sure that it's all going right. And then you have this other animalistic kind of part of you, animalistic part of you that's just riding the wave of emotion. And it's interesting because sometimes our body feels things sometimes that our brain knows differently, because you can't sometimes tell your body that what you're experiencing is make-believe, even when it is, because your body's like, no, I'm having these experiences, I'm feeling these things. So it's really interesting how all 3 of those kind of combine in this piece. And you mentioned it, what Duncan did really well is that he, after that first monologue, is he got a comedian, Johnny Donahoe, to come in, and they developed it together from that point on, which was really smart in the sense that that's where it gets its levity. That's where it gets the humor in this piece. And they worked on it for a while in the Fringe festivals and whatnot before it even got to New York. And they actually, they videoed it for HBO.
Yes.
Which eventually I watched. I did it when I was initially working on the piece because I didn't want anyone else's voice inside my head. But it's such a powerful recording. So people can, after they see the production here, if they want to continue or have the experience again, they can see that as well. And we're doing it a little different, obviously. I think what's powerful about the play is that depending on who performs it, it will be different every time. You know what I mean?
Now, you're still in the rehearsal process.
Still in the rehearsal process.
We open on the 25th. We're recording this, obviously, before.
The 25th?
25th? Ooh.
No, I'm kidding.
You knew that.
I wrote it down.
You'll be here, hopefully. How we've been able to get some people to come into the rehearsal process with you so that you could play along with them. But before they started to come, how difficult was it for you to sort of envision, as a lone person, envision this interaction with someone who isn't there, an audience member?
Yeah.
Now it's probably a little easier because you have someone to play with, but beforehand you didn't.
Well, I mean, my background is improv. And I had a touring group for a long, 3 guys, and we went around internationally and played off Broadway for a long time. So interacting with people, the nuclear family.
Yes.
Exactly. So the nuclear family really allowed me the freedom of, I mean, it really changed me as an actor, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you start out acting, you have this idea that, like, when I say this word, my hand will do this.
Right.
I shall look, you know what I mean? And so it's like, kind of freed me of any idea that I have to perform. And it allowed me to be more, which has really, really helped me as an actor. The first week of this process was, I wasn't ready for an audience in the sense that I really had to, no matter how much you work with something on your own, you have to, when you're in a room with people, you have to say it out loud and be like, okay, wait, I got this. Okay. You know what I mean? But then, I mean, luckily my stage managers were there for me and are still there for me reading a lot of these things. I mean, because there's 67 numbers that I call that are replied by people in the audience. And we haven't had 67 members come into my rehearsal process. So the first night will be very, very new in the sense that it'll be the first time that the play feels full. And not just audience members, but being like, not things said by my stage managers, Audrey and Dane.
Oh, yeah. Who's that?
You know, and thank God for Dane. I mean, he was playing all of these characters for the first week. And so now it was great to finally have people, and the volunteers here are so wonderful anyway. Yeah. They really are, and so they're game, and they're excited to come back. I think, and it's interesting, I've already had conversations with people after the show that were personal, and you know, ideas that, could you imagine, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't tell them I don't know. But you know, like things that, it really allows you to reflect I think. Not everyone, everyone's different, but I've found that through some conversations there's been reflection of different things that have nothing to do necessarily with depression.
Well, I haven't been part of the rehearsal process, but I'm so excited to see your performance, with a room full of people and see their reaction because, like I mentioned, it touched me when I read it, so I can't imagine how it touches other people's as they see this performance. And please, audience members, come and get tickets to this show. It is an experience you will not want to miss. You
Absolutely.
will definitely be changed, at least in the thought process of not only theater, but possibly how you accept things in your life and appreciate them a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, it's two things. Even if you leave this without any reflection, without feeling anything, without it spurring a memory or something that you need to change in your own life, it is a theatrical experience that you've never seen before.
Correct.
So in that respect, you will be seeing your fellow audience members interact in a piece in a way that they never have before. So you can just come for the fun of watching that aspect.
And it'll be
absolutely.
Now let's get back a little bit, couple years. Jimmy Ray,
Hey,
boy from Tallahassee, Northern Florida.
That's right.
What spurred you to make performing your career? What got you going? Did you have a family that sort of pushed you into it? Did you have aunts and uncles that were performers and you just want to follow in their footsteps?
No. No. That's an interesting question, and I will try to. Let's see. No.
Okay.
I come from a big farm family. My mom and dad are both come from big families. I have probably 30 cousins on each side, first cousins.
Wow.
I'm the youngest of all of us, and I was having a hard time growing up with a lot of things. There was just a lot going on in my family at the time, and I had a therapist that I was sent to. This is so revealing. But anyway, this therapist, and this was at the end of my 8th grade year, was like, why don't you send him to this place called Young Actors Theater for a summer program? I never knew theater. My family had never known theater. And the fact that this therapist, who I really didn't connect with necessarily, and I was, it was like I had to go to him kind of situation, he changed my life. He saw something in me that was, I guess, performative or creative. And I think he recognized that I didn't have an outlet for that in my family. I love them dearly, but yeah, and it's been great to carry them along with me on the journey. But from that moment, the minute I went to that summer program, I was like, oh, this is me. It was, I'd never felt seen before like that. And not only by other people, seen by myself. I immediately knew who I was. And that didn't make it like immediately easy or any of those things. It came with it a lot of insecurity, of course, because I was in this arts organization,
right.
And I was a country boy, you know what I mean? And I was also...
You didn't feel like you fit in, although you knew deep down this is where you did fit in.
Absolutely. And once again, two things can exist at once.
Correct.
You can know that you belong and feel that you don't belong, you know what I mean, all at once. And so, from that moment on, I went to Florida State, got a degree in musical theater there, started out primarily just wanting to sing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In my mind, it was like, if I could just be in the back row of Les Mis.
There you go.
That's all I want, And then through improv, your goals, your dreams, your idea of yourself can become bigger. And not just because of improv, but just, I think life...
More comfortable in your shoes.
Absolutely. And then you want to try everything.
And being a performer and being able to see how your performance changes people's lives and how they sort of relate to other aspects through you. You're the catalyst of making things happen.
Well, I hope so. I think that that's also the power of theater and storytelling in general is that you can find yourself, you can see yourself, you can. It's more revealing in that respect. And once again, back to this show, really quick, but it's the same thing. It's a conversation, and it's a way to recognize different parts of yourself, recognize people in your community, maybe understand someone in a way that you hadn't before, and really, especially in a time where we feel like we're more divided, we need pieces like this that actually remind us how much we have in common, as opposed to not.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, our impulses as humans we all have them, you know what I mean? And they're all complex and complicated and wonderful and hard. And so, you know, it's all of those things, you know what I mean? And so the more we're reminded of our humanity, I think the better, you know? And I'm so glad to be back here too. I mean, not to bring you up, but you are sitting in front of me. And when I first came down here, they were rebuilding the Stark stage.
Correct.
And we did a production of A Christmas Carol that Alan and Ken wrote, right?
Yes, correct.
And so I came down. I was one of a few professional actors.
Bob Cratchit.
I played Bob Cratchit. I sang a song to a crutch. It was very dramatic. And John Moses was in it. You were in it. So many people in this theater were in it. And then I came back and did that celebration that opened the Stark stage.
Once the Stark was completely renovated, and Alan said, I want music to go back into the walls, to have the music that was in these walls before the renovation, I wanted them back. So you were part of that rechristening of the Stark stage, so thank you.
Yeah, I was part of a rechristening.
You were. Well, I could talk to you forever. We haven't even gone over all your TV roles, the great things that you've done on Amazon Prime.
Video games,
Grand Theft Auto 5, come on. But I know you have people waiting for you for rehearsal, because we do have people rehearsal waiting for you, and so thrilled that you took the time to talk to us, and thrilled that you are here, at least for the next few weeks, and it's been too long, so we want you back every year. Hear me, every year. So again, everyone, please come to see Every Brilliant Thing. It runs March 25th through April 13th. You will not regret coming to see the show.
No, it's a special
piece.
A
transformative piece, and we're so grateful that you have spoken to us and will share with us throughout these next few weeks. Thank you. Thank you again, Jimmy. And Riverside Theater's Backstage Chat is a podcast where we get to talk to some of the talented artisans who work on and around our stages. Thank you to executive producer John R. Moses and artistic director Alan D. Cornell for their vision and leadership. And thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm Oscar Sales.